Kiss and comic books. They go hand in hand, and we are going to talk all about them today. But something that's really cool is that right there we have Kevin Conrad, and he is not only a drummer in a Kiss tribute band, but he did artwork on all of these. And we're going to talk about it today on Podcast Rock City Live. What's up, everybody? Joe here from Podcast Rock City. And with me this week, Sonny Hollywood Pooney.
What's up, people? I am probably on the Monsters of Rock cruise when you see this. Joey, were you invited? No, huh? Oh, too bad.
Oh, I was, but I heard that you were going, Sonny, and obviously there was a tragic death on one of the cruises, and it was too tempting if I was on with you, Sonny, to...
Damn. And that guy down there totally hating on Sonny is the man, the myth, the legend, Joey Casada.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
It's great
in front
to see
of a
you.
bunch of toilet paper. I see.
You son of a bitch.
Oh,
obviously, I figured I'd move locations today. Got my comics behind me.
Sure, absolutely.
Nice.
And right down there is the lovely and talented goddess of thunder herself, Lee. Hi, Lee.
Hi.
All right, so obviously we're talking about comic books. Kevin, right there, he worked on the first run of PSYCHO CIRCUS. How many comics was that? Like 36?
31 issues. Yeah, Randy, that was it. Yeah.
And now something so we were talking before we got on, and obviously Kevin is going to have a lot of information on this. So we're all big comic book fans, obviously. When you grew up in the 70s and in the 80s, comic books were huge at the time. You could get them for, 35 cents to 75 cents, and they went up from there. But obviously, when I was looking over Kevin's list of things, I'm a huge Spawn fan, probably my favorite comic.
Spawn.
At the time, my favorite artist was Todd McFarlane. If you grew up in the 80s, Todd was the man. He was kind of like Tony Hawk of comic books. And it's amazing and great to me that Kevin got to work on these comic books that so many of us have. So let's start with this. You've been drawing your whole life, Kevin?
My whole life. I don't remember not having a pencil in my hand, put it that way. I suck at sports, and I know some of you guys on the call here will like it. I don't watch sports. None. I'm not a sports fan. When I was a kid, all I would do was draw, and I tried to get my friends to draw. They'd get mad at me because I always drew better than them, that kind of thing. They would drag me out to play sports, but never clicked with me. All the time. I drew all the time. Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be an awesome conversation, guys. I want you to stick around for this, okay? It's going to be a lot of fun. And Kevin also plays drums in a tribute band where he's the Eric Carr in the band. You can see his kit behind him. It's a Chikara kit, right? That's Crazy Night.
Yep.
Crazy Night. Yep. So we're gonna have some great conversations, but before we get to that, we got to get to the news.
Podcast Rock City News.
So So I read an article this week, and the headline was Bruce Kulick recalls jamming with Vinnie Vincent and Ace Frehley, reveals what went wrong at the end of the show. So listen, I'm going to tell you guys, obviously, Sonny was there, I was there, Joey was there, Lee was there, right? Kevin, were you there by any chance at the
No.
Fest?
Oh yeah.
You were
Me? I wish I did. You ask me? No, I wasn't there. I wish I was.
So okay, so this is
let me help you. Here's what you missed. Billy, 30 minutes.
We do a great imitation.
Unbelievable.
So I'm gonna post this article on our Facebook page, so make sure you go check that out. But the quote that he really kind of breaks it down part by part by part, and the quote that I wanted to talk about. Now it's been a few years now, so which makes it. He's finally really talking about it, but he basically said he doesn't wish anything against Vinnie Vincent, but I don't have any interest in really trying to work with him in any capacity. So now we were there, Joey. This is completely understandable, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Vinny had the chance. He came back at that. I forget what expo was it. The
Atlanta.
Atlanta Expo. That was his first appearance back, and everyone was so excited to see him after what was it, almost 20 years, I guess, right? And he came back great. I think he was on fire. He played on a little acoustic set, I think, in that Atlanta Expo with Robert Fleischman jumped up on stage with him. He had a lot of momentum, and I don't know what happened. Obviously, it's the same stuff that always happens to Vinny, right? He gets in his own way, whether it's his ego, whether it's his head, whether it's just maybe him doubting himself, but he's too hard to work with. At Creatures Fest, the plan was, Neil Davis, who put that on, got the Holy Trinity, he called them together, which is the three Kiss guitar players. Obviously, Mark St. John's there is one too, but he was only there for a little bit, and obviously he passed away. But Vinny, Bruce, and Ace all in the same room together and on stage together. It's an epic, epic moment for Kiss fans, and it was supposed to be a really cool thing that the three of them were going to jam together. The plan was to have a band play, and all the way up until showtime, everything was negotiated with the players. They knew what they were going to do. They knew there was going to be a band, the drummer, a bass player, and they were going to play a couple songs. And then all throughout that day, Vinny just kept changing his mind. And even though, obviously, I would think Vinny is the least important of those three guitar players, right? Even though it's, this is his moment because it was in his show that they were going to appear, the other two guitar players. Vinny just kept changing his mind. No, I don't want to do this song. I don't want to do this. I want to do this. I don't want to do any live musicians. I don't want any drummer. I want a drum machine. And there was just a lot of craziness going on. And I think Ace and Bruce, and from that article, you can see it, just agreed, listen, let's just do it. Who cares? We'll figure out something when we get up there. And it was a disaster.
It really was. Lee, so we're all standing there and we're watching this. And I remember distinctly, we were all standing there going, I feel bad for Bruce and Ace.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason is because it just felt like Ace had the best quote. Do you remember his quote, Lee?
I don't remember.
He said, I can play anything.
I can play anything you want. I just need a drummer.
I just need a drummer.
Oh, that's right. I need a drummer. That's right. I forgot about that.
So when you were watching it, I mean, what was your reaction to that?
It was horrifying. I don't know. It was bad.
It was so Kevin, I'm sure you've seen the video by now.
Yes.
So we all walk in and it's just 15 minutes of just shredding.
And Joe, before you guys even walk in, if I remember correctly, I remember the scene like it was yesterday. I was up in my room watching the Ranger game. I think it was Ranger playoffs. And you guys were online and you could hear Vinny playing, but the doors were locked. You weren't allowed in for like an hour past where doors were. Like doors was supposed to be at 7 and it was now 8:00. and no one was allowed in yet. And I remember telling Joe, text me when you're allowed in because I'll come down and watching the Ranger game. And it wasn't for at least an hour. And it was worth. Didn't you guys just walk in and he was just playing
on stage?
He was already on stage
on the tank
by himself,
shredding. Yeah, by himself. And
he had makeup on too, right?
Not the full.
No,
I thought he had makeup. I
thought he had makeup on, but I think it was a cross, not an all.
Yeah, it wasn't.
He had something going on.
But it was full white face with the cross, right?
And when we say shredding to me is you're all over the fretboard.
I called it noodling.
I'm telling you, his hand did not move
noodling
from the place he was on the fretboard.
It felt like, I mean, and of course we're going by memory, but it just felt like noodling. It didn't feel like it was planned out or anything. And all right, so I'm going to be straight with everybody. I'm not a fan of Vinnie Vincent. I don't know him, so it's not personal. I'm not a fan of his guitar playing, and I know a lot of people love that kind of thing. But for me, like when I listen to Bruce Kulick play, he has his own style, and then when he steps into Ace's shoes, he gives it the same kind of feel with his own style added in there. But like if I throw on that live Creatures of the Night record, it doesn't feel, it's almost like every night he went out there and goes, I'll play what I play. Whatever comes out of me comes out. That's what it felt like. Now you're going to send me hate mail. And if you want to do that, it's Podcast Rock City 1.
That's the
number one.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, at gmail.com. And you can send it to me and tell me, how about this? Instead of being hateful, tell me what I need to listen to make me enjoy Vinnie Vincent. Because I mean, truthfully, I don't know. There's just something about it that makes my skin crawl.
I can tell you that. I can
that?
tell you what you need to listen to enjoy him. The issue is I don't enjoy him in Kiss. But dude, those two Vinnie records,
Vinnie Vincent,
because the entire feel of the Vinnie records are unhinged. So his playing fits what he's doing there. True. The whole thing is like one step away from a complete disaster on both albums. And that's how I feel the entire time I'm listening to it. And I absolutely love it.
But Sonny,
get your blood going.
His playing on the Kiss records is great. The stuff on Lick It Up is phenomenal. I know he didn't play that much on Creatures, but even the stuff he did on Creatures is great too. The live stuff, again, you got to remember the times. It's 82, 83. Randy Rhoads is out and Eddie Van Halen's out. And Kiss, retrospectively, they look back and they can say they didn't want that. They wanted that in their live shows. They wanted the shredding. Did it go overboard? Of course it did. But they wanted that guitar player in their band. They wanted someone to not play those blues scales like Ace did in every solo. They wanted a shredder. They didn't want Vinnie to, what Bruce did was Bruce combined the two, right? Bruce made the Ace solos just flashier. But I don't think Kiss wanted that then. I think they wanted that flashy player because you could tell on the records he's subdued. They calmed him down on the records. There's no craziness on Lick It Up at all.
All right. So, I will go ahead and say for the whole performance, the star of the show and the hero of the show was the bass player.
I remember. Yeah. Do we remember who that was exactly?
That was Shane.
Sorry.
Isn't that Shane from?
Yeah.
It is. It's Shane from. Yeah, from the big one, man. Rick Cossack's band.
Mr. Speed.
Mr. Speed. Yes, he's a Mr. Speed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he was the hero. I mean,
earlier in the day when this whole debacle, I've said this a couple times already, but earlier in the day when the whole debacle was going on with the tracks, Ace wanted a drummer to play. So Steve Brown called me, and Steve and I were going to jump up with them and play. I mean, I think they were doing Deuce and what else were they doing?
I Love It Loud, and there's something else.
Yeah. So it was all songs we knew already. We could just jump up and play. We didn't need rehearsal. And it was this close to happening. Like we were going to throw a drum set up. There was a drum set behind the riser already. We were going to throw a drum set up there and just do it live. But Vinnie vetoed it. Ace wanted it.
So Kevin, I don't know if we could tell this story, but we're about to. If I'm going to try to get it out of Joey, but if he could, if he tells this story, prepare yourself. So you were standing backstage. Vinny's on stage. Can you tell this?
Sure.
Okay, so Vinny's on stage shredding. Joey's backstage. Ace and Bruce are backstage. And what happened, Joey?
I think Bruce goes up first, and they're just back there like shaking their heads. They don't know what's happening because it's just chaos. They don't even know. Like, I don't even mean audio chaos. Like, what is he playing? It's just such an odd event. Like, the lights were weird. There was no introduction. He's just making noises with his guitar, and I don't remember the exact quote. I think I have some of this on video even. Bruce is about to go up the ramp to go on with Vinny. And Ace is sitting down laughing. And he's like, good luck, man. And they just started laughing together. And Bruce went up and was like, I don't know what to do. And Ace, had to go up the ramp, and people were like walking him up. It was a disaster.
Okay. All I know is go ahead.
I just want to say, did anybody find it truly bizarre that the original lead guitarist is on stage? Bruce, who was there for 12 years, is on stage, and Vinny is up on this platform above them. That just was really bizarre to me because it should not be that way. That shouldn't be that way. I know.
Listen,
I know.
You gotta give Ace and Bruce all the credit in the world because, like you just said, one, no one should be up there, right? That's number one. But number two,
should be a drum kit up there.
For him to be up there, and those guys still go through with what they're going to do just for the fans. I mean, a lot of people came to that event just for that, to see the three of them play together. And they could have easily said, you know what, we're not doing this. This is a ridiculous, ridiculous thing, especially with him on top of us. But they didn't care. Right. They checked their egos, and they said, let's just do it. People have fun.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So we've talked about that. Go check out the article. It's on Facebook. In case you guys, Sonny kind of told on us, but no, this is not live this week, but we still got together. We're together now, and we're doing a show for you guys, and we've got Kevin with us. So I'm really, really interested in this subject. So let's go ahead and get to the topic of the week.
Podcast Rock City topic of the week.
I was thinking about this when I knew you were going to come on. I was like, I remember being like 7 and 8 years old and sitting in class, and I would basically draw this like triangle with like curved corners, and then I would draw hair, and then I would draw the nose, and I drew Kiss like that. It was like everyone was the same. It wasn't a circle. It was almost like a triangle with rounded chin, and the sides were rounded. And then I would draw the hair and the star, or try to do Gene's makeup. And is that a memory that you have, doing stuff like that, but only better?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, just to give you some reference, I'm 63 years old, so I discovered Kiss with Kiss Alive. I was 14 at the time, and prior to that, I was drawing superheroes. Man, my walls were covered with my art and other posters and pinups. Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics was my jam, and I have drawn, like what you're saying, my entire life. Now, Kiss comes out. I'm 14. I'm going to disappear for a quick second. I want to show you something else that's on my wall.
Cool.
That drum set, how cool is that? That's so great.
I know.
Yeah.
That drum set is awesome.
Oh yeah.
I rearranged the kit a little bit so that your card stickers are off. I'm gonna have to get new ones. But I drew this when I was 17. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh no, we can see it.
That's
We can
cool.
see it.
All
Yes.
right.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So 17 years old, I drew this. So that's, like I said, man, I've been drawing all my life, and I hope I have stuff. My mom kept stuff. When my mom passed in 2000, we cleaned out her house. She had a whole box of my stuff that I drew when I was a kid. She saved
that's
everything.
nice.
So
That's
I have it all.
Give us a little
So-
history. So, how did you start
Yeah.
in the industry? How did you break in? Because it's like it's every little boy's dream, right? You're noodling. You want to draw for Marvel Comics. How the
Yeah.
hell does it
Yeah.
happen?
So, Joe, you're a big Spawn fan. You said you must have heard of Greg Capullo, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
Greg, Greg and I, we grew up together, right?
Oh.
And he's a year
Kevin,
younger than me.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Greg kind of took over Spawn right when Todd stopped doing the artwork.
Yeah.
Drawing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, Greg did. Yeah, he took it over. So a long story. I'll try to make it very, very short. But Greg's a year younger than me. In junior high school, we knew of each other. We never met each other. We had friends saying, "Hey, I know there's another guy that draws just like you," and blah blah blah. Come high school, we met in art class, and we became fast friends. We actually started a band. He plays guitar, I play drums, obviously, and we played, off and on, throughout our 20s, in a band. But during our late teens, we live about a 3-hour drive north of New York City, and we would take samples down to Marvel Comics on Park Avenue and physically hand them and send them off. And we got lucky once. We had Jim Shooter come out, and he said something to the nature, if I could just put the two of you guys together, I'd have one perfect artist. Now remember, that was in our late teens when that happened. But what ended up happening was I went to school for art for a couple of years. I got a 2-year degree, and then I graduated in 83. And I worked in the commercial art field for about 13 years. During that entire time, Greg kept submitting until he finally got in. So as he started to get, he started out on Quasar, and then he got X-Force, and I saw all that success he was having, and then I got the fever to get back into comics. So what I did was I took a couple pages of his pencils and I lightboxed them. I inked over the top of his pencils on another piece of Bristol board over a light box, and he just submitted my inks of his pencils with his package to his editor. His editor calls like the day later. He goes, "Who inked these?" And he goes, "My buddy Kevin did." And he goes, "Does he want a job?" And that was it. That's all it.
Wow.
That's all it took. So Greg,
What year was that, Kevin?
93. That was like February of 93. Yeah.
What was that issue that you inked? If you don't mind me.
That would have been X-Force. Those sample pages never saw print. It was just something that I did. But I want to say I started inking Greg on handfuls of pages throughout. It had to be about issue 28 of X-Force, and somewhere around there.
Explain to people again. The non-comic people might not understand what that means. Inking. Tell what that means.
So we had a little conversation before we started recording, and I would there's a movie that's just the bane of my existence by Kevin Smith called Chasing Amy, right? And what's his name? Something Lee. He was the anchor.
Jason Lee.
Jason Lee. He was the anchor, and he would always just get, can I say shit? I can say shit, right? He always would get shit on the at the conventions and stuff, and and what you do, I'm the anchor, and then you just walk past them, right? And that type of thing. And at one point, he finally had enough, and he jumps over the table and starts choking out somebody, right? So inking. What inking is, I have a couple samples that I came prepared, and these were from his PSYCHO CIRCUS. Now, on this side where I'm pointing, that's just a Xerox copy of the pencils. this was a cover that was never to be with PSYCHO CIRCUS because the book got canceled on issue 31. This was probably issue 32. But if I bring that up a little closer, that was the pencils. You see how there's a lot to be left to the imagination. And this was Clayton Crane, and he and I made a great team. This was my inks over that same piece, right?
Cool.
So what's an inker's job? And here's one with Angel Medina, a psycho. So this one actually did see print. Now, if you look over here at Paul Stanley's profile of his face, if you can make it out, I redrew his face. I redrew his face when I ate the thing. But so what does inking do? In its simplest form, inking is making the pencils camera ready or print ready. And that is with black ink, right? And effects and stuff like that. So inking is I don't want to say a lost art because it's still happening, but the digital age, the traditional style of inking is, unfortunately, I think it'll probably always be there, but it's not as prevalent as it was before. But so an inker, so his job is to do just that, is to make those pencils, turn those pencils into black and create feelings, create redraws. If redraws have to be done, that's an inker's responsibility or job as well. Adding light sources, adding shadows,
depth,
really,
right?
Yeah, depth. Yeah, depth, and just making sure that that whole page as a composition works. So are there pencilers out there who would just rather have you trace their work? Absolutely, there is. And you kind of learn as you go which pencilers you have the ability, like Clayton Crane, with that skull, you have the ability to do your own thing, and it'll be really an equal, almost. The partnership is we're both drawing. He's drawing in pencil, I'm drawing in ink. Or you have somebody who says, look at these are my lines. I don't want you to mess with my lines. Just ink the job as you see it. And that happens. Those aren't any fun though. Those aren't the fun ones. The fun ones are where you're able to create. When you're when that page is in front of you, because everybody's got their own vision. Yes, penciler starts from a blank page. He's got to create that composition, tell the story in pictures, that kind of thing. The inker tells the story in mood, so.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Say it, Joe.
Okay, so
Say it,
so
Joe.
you
Say it.
no, I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, that's all right. Go ahead and say it.
Oh, you're a traitor.
So you're a traitor.
Yeah.
So
I tried to know how to say that. Yeah.
He's going
Sorry,
to be
you had
at
to.
because Lee and I go to all the cons. I'm going to show up and he's like, "Hey, remember when you called me a tracer?"
Well, anything, Amy, you'll see. It's just a joke.
So we already
all
had
good.
this
It's all
conversation.
good.
You could give me a circle and say trace this, and that would be
Joe
it would
couldn't do it.
turn out to be a square. I can't. It's
Right.
art. It is art. So
Right.
all right. So let me ask you this, because this is where we're really headed. You get a phone call. You're obviously a huge Kiss fan, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
say, "We want
Yeah.
you to work on Psycho Circus
how'd
Kiss
that
comic
go
book."
down?
How that
yeah.
happened?
So Todd called me because I was already working for him. I was working on Spawn. I did Spawn Blood Feuds and Dark Ages. Actually, Spawn the Dark Ages came after Psycho Circus. So I was already working for him, and he called me and says, "I got a job. I know you're a Kiss fan. I'm working with Gene Simmons. We want to do a book together. Would you be interested in inking it?" It's like, I mean, like I said, off recording there, I would have done it for free, but I didn't have to, obviously. I mean, I got paid very well for it, thankfully. But that was it. I said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "That's, of course, and from that point, it took a long time, because on the back, it's a licensed property, and it just took a long time for it to come to fruition before it actually started, before the pages started rolling in. And in order for the book to happen too, Gene Simmons had to own all the original artwork. And in the realm of comic book work and work for hire, you create the work and you get the work back. The work is the physical property is yours to own. And when you're working with an inker and a penciler, whether you have a 24-page book, the penciler gets, 22-page book. The penciler gets 14 pages, and the inker gets 8 pages out of that book. And somebody on the other end of the print, like Todd's editor, would randomly, pick pages to try to keep it fair, because there's a lot of crazy double-page spreads, and we don't want one guy to get all the double-page spreads and the other guy just to get talking heads.
So Gene wanted all of them.
Gene wanted all the artwork, and so we had to come up with another a plan to make that happen, and that was a buyout of the artwork. So I don't know what Engel's terms were. I know what mine were. So with every book that we completed, I got a check for the 22, or I forget if it was 22 or 24 pages, but I got for doing the work, and I got another check for the buyout of the pages.
Nice.
Up until issue 28. 28 was the last issue that we actually got paid for, and it took 6 years to get the artwork back. Because the reason why the book stopped is because it stopped making money. So unfortunately, so then Todd is like, to Gene, you need to pay the talent for these pages before I return these pages to you. And Gene's like, I don't pay for anything, blah blah. And it just got to a point where Todd just kept the pages for 6 years until finally we got the pages back. And there's a great story to that I do not want to actually say. But so when that happened, so there was 3 issues in Todd's office, and Clayton and I discussed it. Clayton took 2 complete issues. I took 1 complete issue. I took the very last issue 31, where I actually penciled the cover and Clayton inked the cover for issue 31. And Clayton did a great dragon behind my artwork that he drew behind my artwork for issue 31. So I got that cover back, and I got the entire interior to that book too. Ultimately, I regret it now, but I sold. And then I had 2 other inventory covers that just never saw print. Put the stuff on eBay, and I made more money on the 3 covers than I made on any one entire book that I got paid for, and it was crazy. It was crazy, and I still regret doing it now. But I wish I kept it. I wish I kept that artwork. I have 1 page, and it's a talking head page. That's all I got left of that book.
No.
But anyway, that's the deal.
Were you a fan of the original, the 77?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yes. Look at that. Yeah, woo. Right. Yeah, I bought those on the stand, man, when they came out. And I had them for a long time. Back in probably the 80s, there's a guy out there. I think he ran the Kiss Museum, Peter Arquette.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and I traded so much stuff to him in the 80s. Those 2 comics, the first one and the second one, as well. I was on a big kick to get as many Kiss concerts on VHS that I could get. And that's what I wanted. I didn't care about the collectible stuff that I had, like the posters, I had the necklaces, I had the belt buckles. I had the Kiss Platinum Express card that I won back in the day. And I traded all that and I got a box of VHS tapes now where everything is on YouTube now. So
I have a big box myself.
Yeah, you see, so
I gotta tell you, that first comic holds up. I read it again recently. It's a good issue. The second one is a little blah, but the first issue is actually a really, really good comic.
It is a good comic. Yeah.
People don't talk about enough. It came out in 77, I think, right? The comic.
Yes, 77.
So that's before Kiss Meets the Phantom. It's before all that stuff. And what people don't realize is Kiss. I mean, I know it's ridiculous because it's a comic, it's a cartoon drawing, but Kiss is unmasked in the comic. They appear as
that's true. Yeah.
Peter and Ace. without makeup on. And,
that's very true.
You know, it's, you know, looking back, I don't remember thinking it was a big deal because first time I probably read it was in the 80s when they were already unmasked. But looking back, that's probably a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I remember when it came out, it was like, you know, because in 77, I was 16, you know, and like you said, they were unmasked. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder how close this is to how they really look without the makeup, you know, that kind of thing. You know? Yeah.
So, how this all came up, how I decided to talk about this was I saw this Rolling Stone on sale it was on eBay, and the article inside was talking all about Kiss coming into comic books.
No kidding.
And it basically talks about how they wanted to work with Alice Cooper, but he was a little too edgy at the time. And, you know, so it's very interesting. I'm going to take a picture of this or scan it, and I'll put it on our Facebook page.
What's the date of that Rolling Stone issue, Joe?
It is August 78.
So that's
August
after
10th, 78.
But that's after the comic comes out.
Yeah, that's probably when the second one came out. Yeah.
Okay, so Sonny, I know you're a huge Marvel. I know you're a huge Marvel fan. So here's my question that I have for you. So first, of course, I want you to ask Kevin any questions because I've waited because I know it's probably stirring up in your noggin right now. But let me ask you this. You became a Kiss fan late. When you discovered they were in comic books, did you try to find them immediately, or because you are a comic book fan?
Yeah, so by the time I'm looking for them, it's late 80s, right? So I found some, right? People sell a lot of whatever they're trying to sell and move on with their life or whatever. So I've got both original comic books, and then I've got all the PSYCHO CIRCUS stuff because all that stuff was coming as they were getting off the reunion and all that. So all that stuff was available. And by that time, I'm in my mid to late 20s, so I've got some cash too, so I can get this stuff, right? But as a kid, I started out as a DC fan. I was a Green Lantern fan. I was a Joker fan. And then Marvel, I kind of got into Punisher. Then I went to Ghost Rider, and then I went to Gambit. So those are kind of the 5 places where I'm at, right? And so I only bought specific, like I've got all the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan stuff. I got all the Gambit stuff I could find because that stuff's hard to find. When the Ghost Rider movie came out, all that stuff was available everywhere, so I could get it then. The Green Lantern movie wasn't that great, so nothing was available. But yeah, so I pretty much stayed to the stuff that I liked. But I guess, Kevin, the question I got is, all right, so it's 2025. Is the art of the comic book gone the way of the art of the book? Like people aren't even really reading stories that aren't moving. You know what I mean? That they rather watch YouTube shit.
True.
I know it's unfortunate. Some comics do very well, and you would think with the influx of the movies that it would have some effect on the sales of the comics. I really don't think it does. I think it's kind of the other way around. But a lot of people go to the movies. You know, they're not even fans of comics. They didn't grow up with comics. They're into the entertainment value of it. I think, you know, unfortunately. And then there's people like us who go to the movies because we're just geeks, you know, when it comes to it. But so, sorry, what was the question? What was the question again?
So has the business? I mean, you said it got a little bit digital, but is that pretty fruitful? Like, is there 100 of you out there? Is there 1,000 of you?
There's so many. Yeah, you know, the whole digital realm, the internet, everything, it opened up so much. In the 90s when I started out, you know, you had people, you know, drawing and inking in other countries besides the United States, but the majority of it was here, you know, and with the internet, and it just opened up the whole world to more talent and cheaper talent. South America, there's incredibly talented artists in South America and other, countries like that, where you got one art rep who represents a whole stable of these talented people, and they make pennies doing the work, and I think ultimately it killed a lot of the business, or as far as page rates go, because when you get when I started out in '93, I was making $80 a page working on something that inking a page would take me, depending on the page, anywhere from 8 to 15 hours a page for $80. The great thing was the books that were on. I started out in X-Force. That was a top 5 selling book. And once the royalties came in for that book, it was just, the money was nuts. The royalties were insane. And I came in on the tail end of that.
That's a great question. So how does that work with royalties with comics? So artists get royalties per book sold?
Yes. Yeah, it has to sell a certain benchmark first. Back in my day, it had to sell at least, I think it was 250,000 copies before you started seeing. I got like 1.5 cents per copy, and then when they sold like 300,000, then that percentage goes up. It sells 400, the percentage goes up even more.
Yeah, right.
The pencil and the writer got, I think it was 2 cents a copy, or 2%, not 2 cents, but 2%. I got 1.5%.
Is that is it standard, like DC, Marvel, Image, all of them were doing that, or is it kind of competitive with that?
I could tell you it was Marvel and DC that had royalty rates, like that. Image paid so well, and I'm not saying that this is right. You never saw royalties, on anything that Image did. Even when they went, like, I still get royalties from, books that I did in 1995. Today, I get quarterly royalties from Marvel. I get quarterly royalties from DC. Todd has recently, in the past year, Spawn has started paying royalties. So all of a sudden, I've been getting royalties from him. But Image is what's known as an independent. It's not a like a main. I still call them one of the big three: Marvel, DC, and Image Comics. But they're an independent publisher over Marvel and DC, and I get royalties on reprints. And reprints, when they reprint something, you get royalties from the first issue sold. So, and however many that might be. So the money's not a lot,
like
but it's still something.
So like something like comes out that has like a ton of, this is I don't think this is the original. Oh no, it is Psycho Circus. So when these books come out, right?
Yep.
You get royalties from something like this.
So no, I didn't. But I got paid very, very well for a page rate for that book. So it was hard to argue with somebody, say, hey, you're printing that again. You printed, graphic novels with those books, and I never saw anything. But honestly, like I said, like within the last year, I've been getting royalties from Todd. So it's, I don't know what's changed there, but it's all good. Todd paid me very well. I'm not saying anything.
How about this?
Yes.
Like I'm not trying to diss him. He treated me very, very well. That was a great 6 years of my life. So yeah. What do you got there? What's that?
You have this, Sonny? You have this?
Oh, damn.
Kevin,
I don't have that. I don't have that.
I didn't get it either.
I mean, this
is you mean right here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, when this thing came out, it was like,
oh my God,
bucks.
he's got it posty noted. This he's got it posty noted.
You see this? I did this for a reason. Between these two post-it notes is all my work.
Yeah,
that's all my work.
All your issues are in
that's
there, right?
amazing.
Yeah, the 31 issues. So everything from here to here is double. 2/3 of this book is my work, and this was. I had to buy this myself. I got this on Amazon. I got lucky. I got it for $30. which I don't know that you can anymore, but that was put out by Gene, Gene and Paul. So, I mean, I wouldn't have expected Gene to send me one because he wouldn't have my contact information anyway. So, and again, no diss on Gene, but I'm glad I got it. that makes a great weight.
So
It
Kevin,
is.
one
It's
more
definitely a
question.
talking piece.
Yeah.
Where does the
Yes, it
writer
is.
come in? Right. So somebody's writing the
Yeah.
story that inspires whatever the penciler's doing and whatever the inker's doing. That story's got to be written first, right?
It absolutely does. Yeah, the writer first, then the penciler, then the inker, then depending on the order, sometimes a letter and then sometimes a color. Those two might flip flop. Especially now because a lot of the colors, even when I was doing that book, the colors were digital. They weren't hand done any longer. So there's so much that can be done tweaking wise with digital work. With dropping in the lettering afterwards and that kind of thing. So. Yeah.
For a 24-page comic, what's the pages story-wise? How many pages story-wise does that usually take up?
So it's 22 or 24 pages, depending on the publisher. Yep. So it tells a story. It might be a continuing story. It might end with a cliffhanger on that last page. The thing I liked about Image Comics over Marvel and DC was there were no ads. And if there was any ads in an Image book, it would be at the back of the book. So the continuity of the pages, you knew, like you could, when you're drawing, you could lay out that book. Like you open the cover, right, of a book, you got one page of story art on the right. You turn the page, now you got pages 2 and 3.
Right. How it's going to look, right?
Right. It could be a double page spread, and that type of thing. So it made it very easy to tell a story with no ads in between the pages. So,
yeah. The other interesting thing for me is, so the person's writing the story, and I'm by no means a writer, but I've written some stories. You can only get the feel of you might have in your mind what you want, but then when somebody draws it, it's like, man, that got dark. I was trying to make this a little funny. That guy got it dark real quick. Like the images create, I guess, the feel, and the story is telling whatever the story is telling. How does the writer control how dark or fun you end up making it? You know what I mean?
So yes, I know exactly what you mean. It really depends on the relationship between the writer and the penciler, and they do communicate quite a bit on a lot of levels. The way a lot of writers write, some writers write panel by panel. Panel 1, this is what I want to see. Panel 2, this is what I want to see. Night scene, give me a far away shot, give me a one's eye view shot, all that kind of stuff like that. Some writers, will just give you a synopsis, basically, to cover and let the penciler literally do the storytelling and the pacing in the book. So it really depends, and then also the mood. But the mood, really again would depend on what's being told in the story. Like is it daylight? Is it nighttime? Is it something horrible going on? Something comical going on? That kind of thing. So there's always going to be something there. Now, the cool thing about the PSYCHO CIRCUS is the writer, Brian Holguin, is a huge Kiss fan too. So if you just pour through those pages one by one and just look, there are so many Easter eggs in the visual artwork that the writer had nothing to do with. It was Angel or it was me just dropping in these Easter eggs, inside that book that was just stuff that, people like the five of us would like, holy crap, look at that, that type of thing.
Name an Easter egg you put in.
Yes. Yeah. So, name one?
Yeah. Something you put in there secretly.
Oh man. You're talking how many years ago?
Just pick one. Pick a good one.
Oh, it's hard to. Well, I can't even begin to tell you right now, Lee. I'm sorry. I mean, I tell you, I could go back and I should have picked one. I wish I knew that question beforehand. I would have been able to tell
I
you.
knew it too.
But,
I was just
yeah. Things like, the talisman, I believe, are in here. I don't believe that was something that the writer asked for. But there's things like that in the book. They're just like names of characters. Like when it comes through, like or from song titles. That kind of thing.
Okay.
Previous song
Right.
titles.
There was
that
a Christine.
Yeah, a lot of stuff like that. Yeah,
You got to go back and read these now again.
I do. I haven't read them since.
Yeah,
I would love to go back. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Okay,
I got the
so
Kiss Compendium.
let's talk a little bit about Kiss in comics. One of the things that I wanted to share with you guys, we can go ahead and let's see. We're all gonna watch this together. Let's see. Hopefully this will work out great. Can you guys see that already?
Yes, we can.
All right.
We have the last word in promotional stunts. Arcata Graphics and Depew start printing a new comic book promoted as being printed with real Kiss blood. News editor Mike Hegedus was on hand today when the donors showed up.
Kiss is going to have a comic book soon, featuring the four strangely attired and hairy fellows to be printed by Arcata Graphics. Printed in, if you believe everything you're told, in real Kiss blood. To that end, Kiss flew into Buffalo today, yes, with a plane, a Brinks truck bringing a little white box in which were, you guessed it, 4 vials of real Kiss blood, which were summarily dumped into some printing ink for the old comic book. Isn't that wonderful? The whole thing was a classic public relations stunt, one which may or may not have been in bad taste, depending on yours, one which may or may not sell comic books. It would be nice to think that people won't be sucked in by this type of thing, but then maybe Kiss knows something or reflects something about us that we don't see.
A real classy act, guys.
Man, I was so
Isn't
mad
that
that
interesting
no one would bring me to that because I was in Auburn, New York, where I grew up. It was only a few hours away.
A few hours away, yeah.
I was only like 14,
So obviously
so
the first time they appear
brilliant.
here. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So obviously the first time Kiss appears, it's here, right? Then eventually they get their own comics, which we showed, right? Howard the Duck is first. Did you guys see that there's?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Right.
Yeah. And did you guys happen to know that there's a Howard the Duck? I think it's a What If that's on Disney right now on there, and I Was Made for Loving You is playing during that episode. Now I want to tell you guys, they've shown up everywhere. Archie's with Kiss, right? Okay. Kiss used comic books for advertising, right? So here's a Hulk for when the
nice.
albums were coming out.
Yeah.
Right? Here's a
what issue
and you
Hulk
could
is
get
that,
the
Joe?
Green Army Men. It is 232. It was 35 cents.
Oh my God.
I definitely have it, I guess.
Okay, look. Then if you look,
right.
they're even in the advertisements. You can see them in the advertisements where there's people going, buy comic books. But something else that I wanted to point out. I remember that's all we had. And then one day I walked into the comic book store and I saw this.
Yes, I have that.
It was basically a story, and then here's another. There was so many of them at this point.
So I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think the compendium kind of has them in order too. It was the first 2 issues, and then there was that Kiss Nation issue, right? That came out. That was the first issue that came out post reunion. And I think the storyline is, if I remember correctly, was it's Gene, Paul, Eric, and Bruce in the comic, and there's an alternate reality with the other Kiss, the makeup Kiss,
That's a good recall. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a great book because that was like the first book that came out after the original comics, I think. And I remember really digging that because that was like the first time I got to see Kiss again in comics. But Joe, back to the blood. Do you know the rumor about the blood, that the blood went into the wrong book, right? Do you remember what the rumor is?
Yeah. Yes, I actually have it. I didn't bring it here, but it was a Sports Illustrated. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. They said it went in there.
Yeah, the story is the blood actually got put in there.
It got into the wrong press, and the blood actually went into this.
Is that just a rumor, though?
I think I think the rumor came from Stan Lee. Did you ever meet Stan Lee, Kevin?
I did not. No, I wish I did, but I have not. No.
So I remember this came out right here, right? This was like a special Wizard edition. I think it came out before the comic.
I don't remember that, Joe. What's that?
Give everybody an idea of what's coming.
Yeah, I think it did come out beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so you had all that, but here's something else. There were a lot of other comic books. Companies that like once so I don't know how all this works. Kevin, you could tell us. Okay, so here's Dark Horse. So obviously Psycho Circus stops coming out. So Dark Horse goes to Gene and Paul and says, "Hey, we want to put a comic book out," or does that have something to do with Image?
Oh no, it had nothing to do with Image. I think more than likely Gene went to Dark Horse because he wanted to keep pumping out comic books. And as great as Psycho Circus is to me, I love the dark tone. I love the adult themed stuff going on. Gene always wanted them as superheroes, just like Superman, that type of stuff. And I think he got more of that. I honestly I don't know that I've ever opened up one of the Dark Horse ones, but I think it might fall more in that vein, where it's more of a superhero style thing than the Psycho Circus.
Kiss Zombies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to show you a few. Okay, so I forgot to ask Sonny because he has it, but this one, this was the one that was like the 3-foot tall comic book that you could get. Sonny's going to go and grab it.
I'm going to see if I can.
Here's another one. Look, Kiss Kids.
Wow.
Now, I don't own all of these. I just would see them and snatch it up if it was at a comic book convention or something. And
Kevin,
then
how does something like that work? So if Image is done with the Kiss comic, Gene goes to Dark Horse to license the brand, I guess.
Right.
And is it an exclusive deal with Dark Horse? Probably. Like, he couldn't have a Dark Horse Kiss comic and a Image comic at the same time, right? More than likely.
I don't know that he could. I don't know why he couldn't, but I don't know that he would be a bit like direct competition with himself by doing something like that. I think it just makes more sense.
The company wouldn't want that. They would want exclusive rights, I would think, to the comic.
Yeah,
right?
Probably. I would think so. Yeah. 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 Right.
Kevin, have you gotten into like the digital drawing?
Look at that thing.
I've never seen
That's
that
huge.
before.
I haven't seen that either.
Whoa.
This thing is easily 2.5, 3 feet.
Right.
This
is the small version.
It's Destroyer Edition Kiss 4K.
Kiss
4K.
That's
Dark Horse, right?
What do those go for, Sonny?
I got it for $30.
Oh, from Jeff Trott, the poor bastard.
That's right.
That's a deal.
Isn't that cool?
That's awesome. To answer your question, no, I don't do much digital. I have Photoshop. I do scan. I do tweaks to some of my work, but I'm a dinosaur, man. I like pen and paper, pencil and paper. That type of thing.
But I know that's the way the world is going.
Yeah, it is. I know.
But I prefer the hand.
I've said it on this show before, but Kevin, I have a comic book series on Amazon. Kevin did the newest cover for me.
There we go. Yes.
Hell yeah.
I didn't just trace that. I drew that too.
No,
so.
This is his original art. It's incredible.
And this
And,
thing
Joe-
is available at comicsgroup.com.
That big one, but not anymore.
Check
I
out
don't
No.
this
I
drawing
want to
on the
pick one of
back.
those up. Wow.
Wow.
Nickel.
Show me the
That's
cover
crazy.
again, Sonny. Just want to see the name one more time so I can search for it.
Yeah,
Kiss
it's
4K Destroyer Edition.
Destroyer edition. And it looks
This is
like
a
it's Ricky Prague, Kevin Crossley, and Daniel Campos. Is
Wow.
who drew these.
So
And this
now-
is number
now-
one edition. It's number one.
Yeah. So I don't have all 4 here. I just grabbed a handful of comics before I came in. But one of the greatest things about Kiss Psycho Circus to me was when they book. Obviously, the books told the story, and but like here are. I love the fact that these went together, right?
Made a picture.
You could see,
Yeah.
and then this one would connect, and then the next one had, I think, had Peter in it or the Catman. Don't write me hate mail. That was one of the cool things is that like that book came out and you're like, oh, this is like it's like a half a book, and then you realize it's a quarter cover because
Yeah.
4 of them come out and they make one. I always said they should have sold that as a poster. I don't know why they didn't, but
So that right there is like an Easter egg, so to speak, because that was like something that we all had talked about with the posters, from the solo albums all get interconnected. So that was just another way, just another throwback to something that Kiss fans would recognize.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so one of the things is that Kiss figured out a way to stay in comic books this whole time. And it opened the door, for so many others. I mean, look, Guns N' Roses comic book. I've actually never opened this, but I'm sure it tells the story of how Guns N' Roses got started.
Doesn't have the same appeal. Kiss worked. The reason why they've been in comic books ever since they first started comic books, they're superheroes, right? Kiss has always shown themselves as that. But I don't know, Guns N' Roses as a comic book doesn't seem like it's.
Oh, this is all black and white too.
Yeah, of course. It's like
I hate that. God, I hate that so much.
Pony comic book. Who the hell wants to read that?
Oh, look,
I'm writing kids' book. I'm good.
Called Gums and Noses.
Oh, boy.
I agree with
I told
Sonny
you,
on that. I hated the black and white comics.
Oh, so bad.
What are you
so
doing?
bad.
Comics is supposed to come to life.
Oh my God.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
I got to disagree. Savage Sword of Conan, man, that was a great black and white magazine. It was a comic magazine.
Right.
But yeah.
All right.
But
Yeah, all right. So this has been a lot of fun, but I got other stuff we got to talk to Kevin about. So let's talk about your tribute band. What's it called?
Okay, yeah. Our tribute band is called Kisstory, Kisstory. We all know that word. You can look it up on Facebook. It's Kisstory Tribute Band. We recently added a new member, so we're a band of 5. We have a Peter Criss now too. So we split the show. Yeah. I think it's a brilliant idea, although I'm only playing half the show now. I think it's just brilliant because there's really not another tribute band that I know of that does that, at least currently. And we have a rotating roster of players. I've been with the band. The band's been around since '96. I've been with the band almost 4 years now. We had a Dave Barito, who was our Pulse family for quite a long time during that time frame with me. He's now our Peter Criss. He's an incredible drummer as well. I don't think there's anything that guy can't play. So he's Peter now. Our Gene, who actually has the band, is Vinnie Dawson. He has recently switched to Ace Frehley, who used to play when he first started the band. So he's Ace Frehley now. We now have, we're flying in a pinch hitter from Minnesota, Cat Jackson. I don't know if any of you heard of him. He's been in some Kiss tribute bands. He does a lot of different stuff, like David Bowie bands and that type of thing too. And we've got our Paul now. Most recently is a Paul we used for about a year before. His name is Luke Love, and he was out of either Kiss Alive, New York City, or Alive 75, one of those two. He's down. He's down. He lives down that way, so he's a short run for us anyway.
Joe, you have any images, Joe, that possibly to pull up of Kevin as Eric? He does an incredible Eric.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
I can get one.
Yeah,
Y'all change costumes when the Peter comes out or when you leave, and they come like different
So
eras.
I mean, it's close as like he's got to use my kit. I got the double bass kit, so he sits behind my kit. So everything is not era. A lot of times, you see a mix in the costumes too. For like two of the guys might be in Alive, two of them might be in Love Gun, that type of thing too. And with me, prior to getting the Peter in there, we would do Unmasked, we would do Alive, we would do Creatures, and I have two costumes. I got Creatures, and I've got the Love Gun. There I am, right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks great.
Look at the guns.
Yeah.
Welcome to the gun show.
He's listening to Kiss Compendium all day long. That's
That's it.
That's awesome. When is the next time you guys are playing anywhere?
Yeah, we're playing up near us. It's called Cahoe's Music Hall in Troy, New York, on the 11th of April. We have like 5 gigs lined up for the year. In the fall, we're playing Scranton Theater in Scranton, Pennsylvania, with a Back in Black tribute as well. There's a couple others in there too. I got them all on my Facebook backdrop. That's behind my profile pic. I got all the shows we're doing. We were supposed to do a gig tomorrow night in Connecticut, but that got rescheduled, so it's unfortunately not going to happen. We do about 8 to 10 gigs a year, with the band. So and then I do about 15 to 20 comic conventions a year. So I'm pretty busy on weekends.
Okay, so here. Before we go, I got to ask one more question. What are you're still drawing and everything now, right? I mean,
I am.
You did some stuff for Joey. Do you work on any other comic series?
So I had retired from the industry for a number of years, and I took a day job because I needed silly things like health insurance and stuff like that. That was very, could get it out when you're self-employed, but it was difficult. I've recently retired from my day job, so I'm focusing on the band and the comics. I'm doing it's a Kickstarter book with, it's called Mounties versus Werewolves. And it's a 48-page book to begin with. The Kickstarter did make its goal, so we will fulfill that goal to everybody who's purchased it. And then once that's out, we're going to get that book onto the direct market sales too, so it can get into the hands of other people. So Larry Hama from G.I. Joe fame and God, you name it. Yeah, he's been on a bunch of stuff. He's writing it. Guy Dorian Sr. is penciling it. I am inking the book. All right. No wisecracks. And when we do get it into the direct market, I'm actually going to pencil an 8-page backstory for that too, so to include in the reprint. So, and currently that's what I'm working on right now. Yeah.
There's another guy. Awesome. Someone else does the colors, I guess.
Yes. Someone else does the colors. Yes. And I don't know who that is for the book.
Is that
that's all done digitally. The coloring is done digitally. Everything has got to be what they call slatted first. They literally will trace over blocks of the art, and they create layers where they can actually go back into each layer. You don't see the layers, it looks like you're just looking at different, almost like a puzzle, and just like flat colors. And then they go back in and they render everything. It seems like a laborious process, but it's actually a lot faster than drawing or inking to color a book. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Kevin, when you say direct, hold on a sec. Kevin, when you say direct market, like Walmart's not selling it, Target's not selling it. Are you talking about mom and pop comic book stores?
Yes, comic book stores. Yeah. And hopefully like the books like Barnes and Nobles and that kind of stuff too. But
right.
if there's any of them around anymore. But I did some commercial work too. That's all in the comic book vein as well. And I did 2 album covers for Buffalo Rock City. Yeah, so here's the first one that came out.
I absolutely love that cover.
Yeah, this is my favorite.
Really cool.
And I don't have it. It's being produced in album form now, the Buffalo Rock City too. But I did make prints, and I actually, it was always my choice to get Eric in there, so you can see Eric there. But the album is going to be all Love Gun, rock and roll over renditions of songs. So John Jeffrey, who's the head of all this, he asked me if I could replace Eric with Peter. So I had to draw Peter, and then I had the colors digitally drop them in, and it's seamless. I don't have an image I'll have to show you, but so the album cover will have Peter on it, and then there's going to be another version, and we're going to create this whole cover in the blue hues of Creatures of the Night with glowing eyes. It's the same artwork. It's going to be exact, it's just tweaking it in Photoshop to get it to happen. It's going to be all the Eric Carr era tunes. So,
wow.
But yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Joey, tell everybody where they could get your book.
So the book is called The Chicken Monkeys. 3 issues are out on Amazon right now. You can just search Amazon, my name, Joey Casada, or Chicken Monkeys on Amazon. There's 3 issues. Again, still trying to get a big publisher to pick it up, but I'm independently publishing it right now. My buddy and I write it. We outsource all the artwork. Obviously, Kevin did the cover of this 3rd issue, which is incredible.
Thank you.
That's
just
awesome.
a fun story. It's a fantasy story. It's think of Star Wars meets Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Lee, did you have a favorite comic book hero when you were a kid?
I wasn't way into comics, but of course I bought the Kiss comics, so that was my big one. But as I got older, I bought.
There you go.
I was way into Spawn. I don't know why I got so into Spawn, but I have a bunch of those.
Yeah,
I had all
Spawn
the
was wonderful.
figures,
Sonny,
everything, all the Spawn stuff.
And Sonny, who's your favorite all time?
It always go back to Green Lantern because I used to love Justice League, right? And besides Aquaman, he seemed like the guy that was forgotten, so that's why I kind of picked him. And he was green and it was cool.
He was green,
right? But
he was green. That's why.
But whenever somebody asks me, if you're a comic book fan, I'm like, you should love a Marvel character, and you should love a DC character. You should have both sides.
Right. No, I agree. Joey, who's your favorite all-time Captain America?
No, always Thor. Thor was always my favorite. Second was Hulk always, but I was always a big Avenger fan.
Yeah.
I have literally every Avenger comic ever printed behind me, starting with issue 1 all the way through 7 something now. But Thor was always my guy. I was always into the cosmic heroes like Thor and Silver Surfer and all those big storylines like that. So Thor was always my guy.
And what about you, Kevin?
Growing up, it was always Spider-Man. Growing up, John Romita's Spider-Man. So my absolute favorite. But I would have to say, probably the Hulk is now my favorite. Has just always been, and not because of the movies, I just love him. I just love that he's got anger issues. The madder he gets, the stronger he gets. That kind of stuff. He's always getting fights with other comic geeks when I was a kid and stuff. Who was stronger, the Hulk or Superman? And they say, Superman. No, madder Hulk gets, the stronger he gets, and then Hulk's gonna beat his ass and whatever. But that was my thing. Was always the Hulk. Too, so
when I was a kid, Spider-Man was the thing. I can tell you that at my music store, when I walk in, I either put on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Spider-Man from around the same time, the cartoon, because those are on Disney Plus or whatever, or I put on the 90s series, which I just recently found out the guitar work in that is Joe Perry.
Oh,
which
really?
I thought was, yeah. I found that. So I started learning it on guitar. And then the guy who said, "Hey, did you know Joe Perry?" in a little video, he also, that's when I learned the Power Rangers theme too. It's pretty metal. But Spawn, I have to say, just being a Todd McFarlane fan, Spawn was, they always said that he was a great artist and a terrible writer, but I really enjoyed the story of Spawn. So, and then it was just like a home run for an Image comic guy like I was when he just started working with Kiss. It just was amazing. And of course, in DC, I'm a Superman fan, always will be, always have been, and it has a lot to do with my father. But comic books, our generation, that was our escape. Nowadays, kids have a much easier time finding so many different things, where we would get that book once a month, basically, and it would continue a story, And I just always love comic books. I'm very grateful that you were on with us today, Kevin. This was great talk and a lot of fun, and it's so good to talk to you. Just knowing that you've worked on some of my favorite comic books is awesome to me. And knowing that you work Joey stuff, and now you're a real Kiss fan, obviously, just from looking at your room behind you. And, it's one of those things where you are one of us. One of us.
Homer?
We are one. We are one.
Homer. Homer.
Funny, find out if he's a homer or not.
He's a homer. Yeah. Find out. He had fucking Post-it notes in his Kiss book. He's a homer.
I love Sonny calling a homer. He just whipped out the 7-foot comic book.
I never said I wasn't a homer.
Okay? He took up the whole room. He whipped out a 7-foot comic book, but someone else is a homer.
That Kiss Compendium definitely weighs more than that comic book does.
Oh my God, yes, yeah, that's how we got the guns. Always remember that. I just lift that book, open it, lift it up. All right, this has been a lot of fun, Kevin. Thank you for being on. We really do appreciate it. Sonny, do you have anything to add?
No, Kevin, thanks for being on. Everybody, thanks for listening. And I just thought of something. I'm like, one of the things I love about Marvel is they did better anti-heroes. Like, I love the Punisher, and I can't think of a DC anti-hero that even comes close to the
Batman,
Punisher.
Right? Batman, but in the 90s, Batman wasn't always that anti-hero.
That's right.
Right.
So, yeah. But anyway, yeah, thanks for being on.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Had a blast.
Joey?
Yeah, just so the Handsome Devil just finished up the Creatures of the Night videos. They just finished up. We did the 2 Lick It Up Encores. Premiering next week, the full, you don't have to wait week to week, the full Elder performance by myself, Zach Throne, Jeremy Osbrock, and Tyson Leslie doing the full Elder album. It'll be released, I believe, next Friday. We'll have some snippets starting on Monday, so stay tuned for that.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Lee?
Nothing. This is a great show. I had a riot. Thanks, Kevin. Very
thank you. Yeah, this is great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. One thing Joey forgot to mention, and I have it back here in my back pocket. I'm going to pull it out now. The Handsome Devils videos just passed 1 million views.
That's
1 million views. So 1 million views. That is amazing.
And the minute they put the Elder on, I'm going to unwatch. Take that shit to 9999 the minute the Elder gets on.
100% sitting through it, Sonny. I know you will.
He'll sit through it. Yeah.
Hey, I would just like to say about that 1 million views. How long has that been out for that 1 million views? What, a month?
Or so, right? Almost 2 months now. Yeah.
I'd be hard pressed to say that Kiss ever matched that 1 million views in one time on any of their videos. So that's incredible. It's incredible. It's and that I just wish you could put that on. I wish you could put that on DVD. I know you can't, but that would be awesome.
It'll be on YouTube forever. Hopefully, maybe they'll throw it on Spotify or vinyl or something eventually.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
I still say they should be put on tour. This should put the handsome.
I agree. Those two young bucks, man, you got to do. They're insane.
We're working on some stuff. You might see us out there. Sooner than you think.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to see Todd Kearns in like 3 days.
Nice.
With who?
He's
on the
playing bass for Michael Monroe.
Oh, that's right. Yes. So I'll tell you. So a little inside story. We were supposed to have some Handsome Devils dates built around that cruise. We just couldn't lock in everyone's schedules, but we're planning on some stuff. So stay tuned.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
So all right. So obviously this show isn't live, and I'm sorry about that, but lots happening. Sonny's on a cruise. I'm in Las Vegas. Lee, she is. I don't know. Are you comic book Comic Cons or anything this weekend?
I do. I had Mad Monster Party this weekend.
Just this past week, I saw some pictures. You're always bloody when I see.
2 weeks was Days of the Dead. Yeah.
Days of the Dead. Joey's always busy, and Kevin, he's Kevin.
Always busy.
He's always busy. So anyway, so we're not doing an extra show today because we just don't have the time. But next week, we're going to have our extra show for our subscribers that are into the special events subscription. If you want to join that, look at the video right below. It says join, click it. It's 99 cents. And next week when we together, we're going to have a giveaway where you're going to win 2 magazines. This one and this one. And I can't show the whole thing because there's a butt on it.
Is it dirty?
Anyway,
it's dirty. Can I give a plug for a couple of conventions I'm going to be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Next weekend I will be at Clarksville Con in Tennessee. It's a 1-day show. The following weekend it's a 2-day show. It'll be a Super Retro Fest in Denver, Massachusetts. Then April 11th, History. I'll be behind the drum kit. Kiss tribute at Cahoe's Music Hall in New York State.
Kevin, when you're at the Comic Cons, do you do any special work for people? Like I know I've seen guys give people like blank covers of comics.
I do it all the time. Yeah.
Go see
every show.
Get an original PSYCHO Circus drawing. It'd be great.
Yeah. Come on down.
Wow. That's what I'm talking about. Talking about. All right, you guys, this has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this. I hope you guys did too. Next week when we get together, it'll be an interesting conversation. I don't know what we're going to talk about, to be honest with you, but it may be good. It may be. It may.
Did you see what Bruce just posted? By the way, it said something like the song "Spit" was supposed to be named "Shit."
Oh, I
shit.
Did
yes.
that. Yeah.
I didn't get to read it yet. I just saw it when I got on Facebook. I was dying.
I did see that. You guys know what I'm going to say. We love KISS, and we love KISS podcasts, most of them. And you're going to hear the commercials for all the ones that we love right after this. In 3, 2, 1. Peace.